Hello, everybody. We're now talking about dentistry, dental issues, dental uh, issues that people have had over the years. And today, specifically, we're going to talk about the effect of EMF, radiation, X-rays on your body related to dentistry. Last time, if you recall, last time we did Pottinger's cats. We talked about the effect of raw meat, raw milk on the teeth and the fur and the fertility of cats. We went through all the Pottinger experiments with their 900 cats of over 10 generations and the importance of raw meat and raw milk on the very lives of these cats, their litters, their mental status, their fertility, and so on. So we can't overemphasize the importance of what we eat. A lot of you are eating amazing raw milk, raw meats, raw butter, and those are the kinds of things that'll make you mentally in a good spot, physically in a very good spot. So those were the experiments we talked about. And now we're going to talk about exogenous factors that affect us, starting with dental x-rays. Uh, what happens when? So before we had electricity, uh, our electricity, and before we had cell phones, the only radiation we got came from the forces of nature, from the sunlight, from the magnetic field of the earth. Um, but today, a lot of our life, unbeknownst to us and also known to us, is surrounded by electromagnetic energy that's very, very different than what we're used to. So when you feel fatigued, when you feel tired, don't underestimate the assaults of these things on your brain and don't underestimate the importance of fats in your diet because your nerves are electrical impulse conducting wires and fats are the insulating material and pesticides strip off these myelin layers. Poisons strip off a lot of these myelin layers. Similarly, if you don't have enough fats in your diet, particularly saturated fats, you're going to have problems with numbness, tingling, the workings of your electrical apparatus. Your body is guided by your nerves that send out impulses. So a lot of it gets gummed up when there's an assault on your jaws. You've got metals in your mouth, which is creating an electrolytic chemistry in your mouth that is totally different than what nature intended. People have zinc, they have mercury, they have gold, they have titanium, they have nickel, and you got these little batteries that are sending incorrect impulses down your meridians to your organs. So your muscles fail. You feel hypotonic. Hypotonic means your muscles lose their electrical potential that drives muscle movement. You know, when a cat gets up in the morning and stretches, that's mechanical energy that's being turned into piezoelectricity or piezoelectricity that's been created to make the muscles move, you know. So these are natural things that humans and babies and our pets do that are directly related to electricity and how we harness it and how we use it. The more dental x-rays you get, so I would recommend don't get dental x-rays unless you absolutely need to. Don't use cell phones unless you absolutely need to. They're assaulting your jaws, your brain, your blood-brain barrier. There's tight junctions called zonulins that open up by these unnatural electromagnetic forces, and stuff that shouldn't travel goes into your cerebrospinal fluid. Stuff that shouldn't travel through goes and enters your bloodstream from your gut, and you develop allergies and so on and so forth. So while it is impossible to dodge these cell towers, I would say increase the amount of fats, saturated fats that you're taking, decrease your cell phone usage. I mean, we all lived without cell phones most of our lives, all of us actually. Our children don't. I see my kids with the cell phone attached to their ears. Deadly, deadly. So there's two types of radiation, non-ionizing radiation, which is high wavelength. So these are the super high wavelengths, which can go miles at a time. And they are very low frequency. And these are the kilohertz, megahertz, and gigahertz microwaves, waves that really, really affect our health. And then there are the very short wavelength, but very high frequency wavelengths, such as X-rays and gamma rays, that have dangers, ionizing radiations that have dangers of their own. They overheat more. The ultraviolet radiation, the X-rays that penetrate your skin, your bones, and cause a lot of DNA damage. They're also very useful in technology to detect tumors and cancers, but you want to limit them. So what is happening with ionizing radiation is it actually affects the water. The radiation polarizes the water to make HOH, and a free radical is created. So it strips electrons from fluids, from water in particular, and the positive ions that are left do a lot of damage to your DNA. Some of this damage can be repaired. Some of this damage cannot be repaired, and that results in a lot of mutations, a lot of chronic illness that's related to damage in your DNA not working, your mitochondrial DNA not working, your RNA not working, and so on. What are dental X-rays? These are ionizing radiations, and those are electrons which are ejected from atoms, leaving behind positive ions. And these can damage your DNA. And there's a few things that happen when your DNA is damaged. Either the cell dies, right? So you don't have function of that cell for a few days, for a few months, for a few years. And depending on how it regenerates, you'll get it all back after the exposure is over. Or the other option is the cell repairs itself when there's lower levels of damage. The third is that the cell repairs itself with mistakes. And this is where mutations happen to your DNA. And this mistake then procreates itself in your DNA into your body, and the mutations carry on, causing dysfunction in your and how your body makes enzymes and how your body makes its immune fighting, its immunity related cells and molecules that help with the detection of marauders in your system. And so when that happens, a lot goes wrong. You know, people get chronic colds, they get chronic pneumonias, cancers. Oftentimes, it takes decades for cancer to be detected after radiation exposure because it took that long for the cells to mutate, grow to a certain number, and then cause that condition. But there's a lot that can be done to fix this. And the
Right.
number one thing is food. The number one thing is food. Number two thing is uh, being grounded, being in water, being exposed to sun, being exposed to natural surfaces in your everyday life, taking away the effects of all these cell towers and devices and iPads and so on. Don't leave iPads on your tummy, especially if you're pregnant. Any questions? All righty. So this is to say that all radiation is cumulative. And when someone says, oh, that's only zero point zero 0.02 millisieverts, or it is 0.001 millisievert. It is not exactly the truth. It actually accumulates. The effects of radiation accumulate in your body. And if you have a 1 7-hour airplane trip, which gave, say, exposed you to zero point zero 0.02 millisieverts, along with the airport scanners, if you do 20 of these trips, you're exponentially increasing the damage from the radiation to your body. A chest x-ray is zero point 0.1 millisievert. So think about these things before you do them. Domestic airline pilots get 2.2 millisieverts per year, as do stewardesses and stewards and employees who are on top of airplanes. Your brain scan exposes you to 2.2 millisieverts per scan. Each chest CT scan, 7 millisieverts. Every bite when x-ray that you do. So if you go from dentist to dentist, take your x-rays along. Don't let them take more x-rays. They want to do that in order to charge you more. You can pay them more and say, just use the old x-rays if they'll agree. Avoid cell phones. Put them on speakerphone, and I know you all do. Use them minimally. Turn them on. Make a determination that you will turn them on for an hour a day. That'll keep you from being on Facebook and TikTok and wasting your time. Make all your phone calls in one moment, or turn it on every few hours to look at your text messages, and then return them all in one shot. I guarantee you'll have more time in your day to walk, to ground, and do all these wonderful things. And so, all of these, this is to say, everything you do in life is cumulative, as is the good stuff. Your age, your gender, your time of life, dental decay, all are related in great measure to the amount of exposure you get, because your teeth become laid with enamel from your saliva, and that's an electromagnetic reaction. Your saliva acts as an electrolyte, and it has to have the right charge on the teeth in order for it to lay enamel. So you find people with not the right voltages in their mouth have more dental decay because the enamel doesn't lay from the saliva. And there's a lot you can do. You can swish clays, you can swish things that are mineral rich into your saliva and hold it there. You can take out metals out of your mouth. You can eat things that mineralize your teeth more. You can eat more fat-soluble vitamins that help you lay minerals on your teeth. The occupational limits, OSHA, ICRP, are 50 millisieverts in a single year with a maximum of 100 millisieverts in a consecutive 5-year period. And so you're getting a lot of millisieverts that are cumulative, and what your goal is to minimize them. And what do we see with EMF? Sleep cycle destruction is one of the most important thing we see today. The blue screens, the iPads for children, take them away. Just because your child's friend has it does not mean you have to give it to your kid. My daughter got an iPad for my grandson because everybody else got it too, and it was like crack cocaine, destroyed his sleep. He would just demand and weep for it. She just had to take it away completely for him to, and it's a very addictive thing. It affects everything. Sperm damage from cell phones in your pockets, a lot of sperm damage, fetal DNA damage. You have soft bones, you have headaches and migraines from holding things close to your head or living near cell towers. If you can afford it, try and get away from cell towers. If you want to save your future, go to planning commission meetings where Verizon is busily getting permission to put cell towers on every single piece of real estate. My local library, where they have Reading Rainbow for little children, has massive amounts of cell towers on it. These are going to give people leukemia clusters because you're putting them on the heads of little children who come there for 3, 4, 5 hours at a stretch. And so talk to your board of librarians. Libraries are run by people for people. So your public buildings should not have cell towers on them. And you can do something about it. Chronic fatigue syndrome. So especially women are so sensitive. They're told it's all in their heads. I was at a planning commission supervisors meeting, and 90% of the people speaking were women. There were some with Faraday hats on their heads. And it just broke my heart to see the problems that happened to them as soon as a cell tower moved next to them. Pam, you had something to say? It would be great if you guys muted yourself unless you have a question. Um, Fibromyalgia, there's a lot of that. Meniere's disease, tinnitus, people get it a lot when they're living near EMF. Seizures, epileptic seizures, and so on. Rett syndrome, brain developmental diseases in children. Between the jabs, which contain metals in them, aluminum, mercury, impurities like cadmium and nickel, your child's body is an antenna. And then these EMFs enter their body, causing untold wreckage in a poor child's head. I'm so glad that we're recognizing it now, taking those dangers away from our children. But schools are now going wireless. They're going Wi-Fi. There's nothing more deadly. If there's one thing you can do, it is to shell out the money to put your child in a no Wi-Fi school, or to put your child in an outdoor school, or teach them yourself, because the damage from these things in schools is so immense. Schools, first of all, these days are more like daycare centers than schools. The education level's gone down because three-quarters of the kids are on the spectrum. And so the teacher is spending 80% of their time on these just to keep these kids from screaming or banging their heads on the wall. They don't have time to teach your kids. So schools today are very different than California schools from 50 years ago. It was number one, number two in the public school system. Today it's close to number 50. And a lot of it is damage that is being done by our food systems, our vaccines and drugs, and EMF to sort of stir that sauce into a very dangerous, extremely dangerous cocktail. I once had a client who had a brain tumor exactly sort of the shape of a cell phone. He got a cell phone back when cell phones were new, and there was no concept of protecting your brain from EMF. He was a contractor. I saw him in his dying days, and it's just horrible, horrible. Acoustic neuromas, DNA mutations that cause birth defects down the line of your cats and dogs and humans. Um, Defects in the fetus if pregnant women are exposed to it. You get fidgety kids for sure. Restless leg syndrome, chronic fatigue we talked about, MEMS, pineal gland. It's very sensitive to EMF. Your pineal gland, like your third eye, located in your brain behind your eyes, and it governs so many important functions. Sleep among them. This restlessness, sleeplessness. Um, do things that are good for your pineal gland. You know, a lot of you drink raw milk, a lot of you eat raw meat or raw beef that's barely cooked. A lot of you eat saturated fats that are very myelinating. Eat, as someone said, eat lecithin, egg yolks, guys. Eat your egg yolks. Don't avoid egg yolks. Tons of lecithin. Eat cholesterol. Cholesterol is a very important neuronal health molecule. It also helps with making your cell membranes, the outer layer of your cell, more concrete so that solutes can flow through it in a good manner. Whereas if you eat a lot of liquid oils, many problems can happen with the absorption of nutrients through into your cells. It gives integrity to your cell membranes. So cholesterol is a very important anti-EMF damage molecule. You can eat salmon roe, which has lots of cholesterol, egg yolks, cheap insurance, 220 milligrams of cholesterol per egg yolk. You know, eat a few eggs every day. This damage breaches your blood-brain barrier, which is the barrier of your blood to your brain, causing bleedings, causing things to get into your brain that shouldn't be there, causing plaques. It breaches your blood-gut barrier. It increases all sorts of possibilities of infections and molds and other things happening in your cerebrospinal fluids. And vaccines are a very big contributor in also breaching your blood-brain barrier. But you have this single, double, triple whammy of stuff. Why would you not get chronic fatigue syndrome or yuppie flu? You know of people who were, they got, I mean, I was thinking about someone who got married and then her husband was just bedridden with some sort of a chronic fatigue syndrome. It's like yuppie flu. Couldn't get out of bed, fatigued, depressed. Think think blood-brain barrier when you think of these things. Feed that person unlimited quantities of saturated fats from animal sources, please, and lots of B vitamins, liver, and so on. That'll help them detox from a lot of this stuff. This yuppie flu started in the mid 80s in the US and in many parts of the world. So when things just start, a new 5G, a new 4G, electrification, radio waves, you find that people, entire populations go through a sort of wreckage period where people get adapted to these things, and a lot of people die in the process, get very sick in the process. They're inexplicable diseases. Think about the unseen, unfelt, but very real damage from this. So you got to have the imagination to think it's not my food, it's not the air, it's something else. And that is these waves that are coming at me that are very artificial. During the Cold War, the countries were zapping each other with very high wavelength, low frequency waves that were, designed to make people soporific or create disease in people without being detected per se, or that you could send from America to Russia, Russia to America. So a lot of this is people think is woo or conspiracy theories, but that's actually what scientists were working on. And it affects your eyes, your central nervous system, your heart, your testicles, your glands, your reproductive organs. If you have chronic disease, it's very important to get away from this stuff. If you can't help it, at the very least, food, food. Any questions? This is an interesting test that was done by the plant test. There's a bunch of researchers that did this. They put one of those old, those Nokia phones between sprouting seedlings, and they looked to see the effect of the EMF, unshielded versus shielded, from this phone into this stuff. So the first phone to your left is unshielded. The one on the right is shielded. And let's see what happens to these plants when they are held against EMF comes at the sprouts from them. The ones on day 12, you can see actually grew sprouts. The ones on the left barely grew at all, fought to grow a few sprouts. And the same thing is kind of sort of happening to your jaw as you have your phone held against your jaw. Your jaw is next to your brain, and your brain is about, 6 to 8 millimeters thick. Imagine this against a baby's brain. Imagine this against a fetus's brain, which is 2 to 3 millimeters thick. Imagine the wreckage it'll cause in a thin brain or an osteoporotic brain.
So
So,
I have a question. I have a question. You said meats. If you're not eating meats that are raw, first off, what meats are you recommending? And if you can't eat raw meat, do you not get the health benefit from it?
You do get health benefits from meats because you're getting protein, but if you eat raw meats, they contain enzymes that digest the meats for you. And there's less of a load on your body to a digestive load on your body. I can eat a pound and a half of raw meat, but I can only eat 3, 4 ounces of cooked meats. That's the difference in digestibility between raw meats and cooked meats. So a lot of the proteins get zapped, they get curdled. If you see milk curdling, the casein in the milk, which was beautiful, globules or things that easily entered into your system and were very assimilable. It is not so when it's cooked. So that's all to say that with the rawer the meat is, the more it can be assimilated into your body, the more the fats in the meat. The meat is a lot, it's like 75% calories by fat. So you're getting a lot of raw fats through your raw meat, which are very rich in fat-soluble vitamins, which protect the fats insulate your nerves, and the fat-soluble vitamins allow you to detox from a lot of the damage from this. So raw stuff, raw sauerkraut, raw unpasteurized beet kvass, raw meats. Because remember, your body is at 98.46. So everything, all the food that you eat out of your mouth, from your mouth, gets annihilated in your tummy, and then it has to be reformed into your bones, your muscles, your nail, your whatever, your eyelashes. And to do that, it requires enzymes. Enzymes contain metals in them, a lot of them, metallothioneins, and the EMFs zap it. And so when you eat raw products, they contain the enzymes and save you the work of making enzymes, pancreatic enzymes, lipases, amylases, proteases that allow you to digest these severely cooked foods. Did I answer your question?
Y- Yes, but I'm just curious, can you list some meats that you recommend and I that to eat that
Yes, yes. To
yes.
eat raw meats, I would not recommend chicken, although you could if you wanted to, or pork. I would recommend ruminant meats because these animals have been on pasture, eating natural foods. So grass-fed meats, whenever possible. You can eat raw eggs from chickens on pasture. I would avoid raw pork. I would eat raw fish. I would only, in fact, I do mainly eat my Richard catches fish, and I barely put them in a sauce. He cooks them more. I barely cook them. They're raw on the inside. I eat raw salmon, raw tuna, raw everything. So
Wow.
fish, I would say raw meat, raw butter, raw tallow is not lard because it's is not raw because it's rendered, as is lard, as is ghee. I would eat raw butter. Lotta eats a lot of raw cream. By all means, drink raw cream. It's awesome.
I feel like I can do the raw milk, the raw butter, but other than that, raw meat just doesn't sit well with me. So I guess I'm just gonna have to hope that the raw dairy will help me.
I will tell you, make one recommendation. Go to your butcher. He will have 30-day aged meats in some corner of a good butcher shop, nicely grass-fed meat, and ask him for a thin slice of that 30-day aged meat. Eat it, and you'll never be the same person again. It's like butter. Pam, it's like eating the most delicious gossamer butter. It melts in your mouth. The meat just is so tender, you don't even have to chew it.
Wow.
Try that.
I'm going to add to that. I grew up with beefsteak tartare, and it's a lot of like mustard and capers and onions and a raw egg. And I think it's one of the reasons I'm really healthy. So I grew up eating that at least once a week. There you go.
There you go. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's a good way to get overcome the rawness because you have things you're familiar with, onions, the mustard. Anyway, there you
What
go.
a good idea. What a
And,
good idea.
and capers.
And capers. Mix it up, guys. Mix it up. If you eat a bunch of cooked stuff, put in a little bit of raw. If you eat drink a bunch of yogurt, add a little bit of raw milk to it. So gradually, and you'll find eventually that you just digest it so well. There is San Francisco Meat Company next to my daughter's house, and anytime I go down to Hayes Valley, I nip around there. They've got these giant this cooler with these giant hunks of meat. It's like Wagyu or some other beef, and I ask him to cut off a couple of slices, salt and pepper it, and I go to the park and I eat it. And you literally don't have to eat the whole rest of the day. That's how well nourished you are. I had
Mm.
I had someone I spoke to about it eat it the first time last week, and she said I felt a buzz. I felt like $1 million from doing this. So give it a shot.
Okay, thank you.
15-minute conversation. This is what happens to your brain when you hold your cell phone close to your head. This is ultra high frequency radiation. It's maximally absorbed by your brain. And a lot depends on the size of your skull, the distance between the phone's antenna and your head, your ear, and how much a cell tower is sending through the phone into you, how close the cell tower is to your phone, because the cell phone is picking up signals from your cell towers up to a distance of 36 miles. And the closer it is, the more the radiation that's going into your head. And folks, when it was tested on a Marine-like head, a guy, fully grown, 6'2" man with a thick skull, not on your babies, not on women, not on sick people, not on people with thin skulls. What does it do to your sperm count? Here is a Cleveland Clinic study on guys that carry cell phones in their pockets. Um, on the right-hand side, you'll see the blue. This is no cell phone use. These people have 90 to 100% of their sperm count. The purple one is 2 hours of use per day. It goes from 90% to 60 to 70%, your sperm count. With 2 to 4 hours of use per day, using it in your ear or holding it in your pocket, you go down to about 50% sperm count. And 4+ hours of use, this is people who are constantly chatting on the phone, constantly have the phone in their back or front pocket. Your sperm count is close to 30–40% and declining. How can you produce babies? How can we have a civilization in the midst of this crisis? Besides, you have Bluetooth. So don't have the phone near your body, would be my recommendation. Don't do it because your next door neighbor does it or your compadre does it. And, if he does it, how wrong or bad could it be? Don't keep your phone under your pillows, your on airplane mode, and even with airplane mode and power off, there are phones that are picking up signal from the cell tower. Leave it away. Leave it away. And don't keep it near your head. And the shields are useless because the phone will just make a bigger and bigger attempt to reach the tower if you shield it. Same thing with the smart meters. They go berserk if you shield them. The best thing is to take it away. Your sperm is very sensitive. Your sperm contains the half of the DNA that you're going to contribute to the future generation. And when that is damaged, you can expect damage in the child and the children down the line as the gamete DNA gets damaged. There's this radiation shield called the man purse, which people have used and can use when they store it away from their body in someplace else. There are even silver-lined boxer briefs to shield against EMF radiation. But you know what? Why have it near your nether parts? Why have it near your reproductive chakra when you can help it? There are children today, including my grandson, who, given his druthers, would be like this, on an iPad all hours of the morning and night. It is our job as parents and grandparents to educate, take it away, take the blue light away, the reduction in melanin away, melatonin away, not melanin, and make good circadian cycles. This affects your hormones and just damages the workings of your body. So what does the brain tissue look like? You have brains inside your skull. A 4-year child's brain is about 13 centimeters. What is 13 centimeters? About yay big, 6 or 7 inches. A full-grown adult person's brain is 16 centimeters, 3 whole centimeters more in diameter. Okay, your 4-year-old child's skull is 3 millimeters thick, whereas an adult's is close to 9 millimeters, close to a centimeter thick. Your child's skin is 3.6 millimeters thin, and your adult skin is double that. So when you expose yourself to it and a child is sitting next to you, you're doing far more damage to an infant and a child than you are even to yourself. So these are things to be conversant with. The wireless industry has not tested on children and there are 70 million kids in the US, from 0 to 18. And these are their formative years when they're getting shocked with this EMF. So there's something called specific absorption rates that you have to abide by per country, and that's what the enforcing bodies rely on to say, is your cell phone safe or not? Is this good for kids or good for adults or not? The US rating requirement for specific absorption rate is 1.6 watts per kilogram of body weight. In Europe, it's even higher, 2 watts per kilogram of body weight, averaged over 10 gram of tissue absorbing this signal. And places like India uh, have actually reduced the amount of SARS they allow from uh, European Union to the US limits. But even that is not sufficient. That is nowhere close to sufficient because you have handsets, you have cell towers, you've got all sorts of devices, and the effect of these is cumulative. And all this gets absorbed into your tissue, whether it's your bone, whether it's your brain, whether it's your gonads, your ovaries, has an effect. And that brings us to the very important question of what the phone manufacturers, what the techies did to deal with this problem. Our Silicon Valley executives are so deep in this, whose bread they eat, his song they sing. And you can see it by the amount of just mental behavior, autism in Silicon Valley, probably one of the highest rates in the world. The people, the executives, one-track minded, they're like computers that are very good at computing, but don't have soul and brain balance. There's a reason. They're blitzed. They grew up blitzed with EMF and jabs. They are blitzed today with EMF. And Steve Jobs from Apple, who built the iPhone, the Apple iPhone that you and I are using has a SARS of 1.59 watts per kilogram of body weight, whereas the Samsung Galaxy is much less EMF. So guys, I don't know what the Apple phones today are, but check them, check these specifications. The Galaxy is a fraction, so like 5 to 7, 1/7 of the EMF of an Apple iPhone, which is far sexier but far more dangerous for you. Why is that so? You can do simple things as a manufacturer to reduce the EMF, but Apple didn't do it. So the Samsung transmitter is located at the bottom of the phone rather than the top, and the top is what you hold close to your ear. This antenna transmits the highest intensities of microwave radiation from the lower back of their smartphone, so it's going out the other way or going at your neck, not your brain. And there was actually a company that tried to tell Steve Jobs, hey, your phone is emitting a lot of radiation, and we are interested in building an app which will reduce, but he wanted the aesthetics, and so he didn't do it. But they said, we'll reduce the EMF coming from your phone. And you know what Steve Jobs' response was to this potential app that would alert iPhone users to excessive exposure? Not interested. And here's the email. This guy, Gil Friedlander from TalkOn, company called TalkOn, said, it's a startup that has, dear Steve Jobs, TalkOn is a startup that has been working for the last 20 months on a patent pending mobile application, allowing users to see the level of radiation they're exposed to from their mobile phones. Our message is balanced and encourages people to continue using their phones responsibly. We're currently not approved for the App Store. Following very constructive dialogue with Philip Shoemaker and his team, we're hoping the required APIs will be added to the iPhone SDK, Software Development Kit, in the App Store. iPhone has low SAR and great hardware capability. He's sucking up to him, it has high SAR. and great hardware capabilities that we leverage in our application, allowing users to continue to talk while minimizing their exposure to mobile phone radiation. We are all avid iPhone users and hope Apple will continue its leadership role, giving your users the choice to download this app to their phones. Please approve Talk On for iPhone. Two-word reply back from Steve Jobs. No interest. Fetuses are very exposed to specific absorption rates and at greater than 6 at frequencies of greater than 900 megahertz from your standard cell phone or 1800 megahertz from your other the bigger power cell phones. And I see a lot of women keeping their cell phones on their bellies, their very pregnant bellies, talking away. It is just, it breaks my heart. The fetus is literally getting tortured in there. Um, have a heart, ladies. Or if you see someone with a phone on their belly or in their bra strap, talk to them about it at the risk of getting slapped.
Can you mention about ultrasound radiation that people do for, checking the babies too?
Yes, yes. 15 times, 8 to 15 times the increase in autism levels. Used to be you did an ultrasound, not at all. I don't remember getting an ultrasound when I was pregnant 42 years ago with my children. Now they do it at every single visit, and the rate of autism attributed to ultrasound is very high. There's a homeopath by the name of Anke Zimmerman, who gave ultrasound the remedy to a girl who had autism symptoms, and they disappeared with the remedy. Ultrasound, deadly for children, deadly for the growing brain and fetal development. Uh, iPads and laptops on people's bellies. Please get those trays at the very least, which have legs, so your tummy is not exposed to the radiation from your Wi-Fi. Or runners who go out with cell phones and Bluetooth and so on and so forth. And what's the RX to all that? Eliminate refined sugars, flours, and oils. Everything refined, everything white. White bread, white sugar, industrially cleansed oils. Add your fat-soluble vitamins A, D, K, and E. They are minerals that are EMF protective for you. Oil pull your teeth regularly. People who have recession of gums, people who have bleeding, people who have, and don't use toothpaste, please. I encourage you to take all your toothpastes with fluoride in them, with glycerin in them, and toss them. Use charcoal, use coconut oil, use herbs, use, little essential oils to clean your teeth, but not toothpaste. Encourage healthy biofilms because that's where your bacterial biofilms, bacteria make amylases, proteases, and lipases in your mouth. The first level of digestion happens in your mouth. And so if you keep ripping them out, you'll have nothing left, and then food will land in your stomach and intestines for further digestion. You need the enzymes that your your microbiome makes. Don't poke your teeth with water picks and cleanings and so on, because the bacteria in your teeth are different than the bacteria in your gut. And every time you bleed in or make a wound in your gums, you're creating sepsis, where the wrong bacteria are going unguarded by your immune system directly into your bloodstream. These are the people, when you come back from the dentist, you feel sick for a couple of days after you're cleaning. There is a reason. Those bugs got into your bloodstream and are causing infection, endocarditis, arthritis, infectious arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and so on. So please dodge those visits to the dentist, the 6 monthly dentist. You never need to go to a dentist for anything other than when you get pain. You won't even get pain if you're on a Destiny Price type diet. Enough vitamins, enough fats, and enough proteins in and above all, make your mouth not an antenna for disease, but an antenna for coating your enamel with minerals so that your first level of defense is solid. You have a fortress in your mouth. Avoid all plastic coatings on enamel surfaces. I've heard of dentists telling moms, oh, if you put a plastic coating, that kid will never have cavities. The opposite. They will have more cavities than ever because enamel surfaces get coated with enamel from the saliva because it's an electrolyte electro ion interaction. Remineralize your mouth. And so there's a lot you can do. Eat raw foods, eat things that contain enzymes, avoid and encourage your bacterial biofilms. Don't wash your body too much. You've got bacteria on your skin that, in conjunction with sunlight, make cholesterol surface sulfate, which is the precursor to D vitamins. So it's not just the vitamin D levels, which is only one kind of D vitamins that blood tests measure. It's all kinds. If you had such low D vitamin levels, you wouldn't be alive. So take heart from the fact that there's a lot we don't know. And the more we expose our body to natural light, to 7.8 hertz frequency from the earth by grounding, by walking on the beach, by getting iodine from next to the beach, magnesium and minerals that you breathe in. There's a reason people love being on the beach. It's a very healthy place to be. And so food, fats, staying away from EMF-laden places, activism to make sure that your future generations are protected against EMF. Very, very important. And I think we will call it a halt here because there's a whole chapter devoted to dental amalgams, and I'm sure everyone's had some dental amalgams. There'll be lots of questions, and we can keep that for our next meeting. But if you have any questions in the meantime, please ask away. And I'm going to go back to the rainbow here so that you are able to see the electromagnetic spectrum where dental x-rays are located. Where are the dental x-rays? Where the x-rays are located to the right, microwave somewhat in the center, radio waves to the left with high frequency, low frequency, high length waves, and then the very low and the ultra low frequency radio waves. Any questions on EMF, your body, your brain, and so on? I will take them here, else I will stop recording.
I have a question. I have a dental question. Can I ask a dental question?
Sure.
So I had some dental trauma because I can't get into all that, but long story short, the dentist said I had cavities and I didn't feel in my spirit that I had them, so I kind of pushed her for more information like 9 months down the road, and she finally admitted that I never had cavities, and she wound up covering 8 teeth. I know I discussed this all with you. So the bottom line is I have no trust for dentists, and that's not the first time I've been taken advantage of with the dental system.
Mhm.
But I do get plaque and tartar. Here's my question. Since it comes back all the time, I think I need clarity on this. Is it something that our teeth actually need to have on them?
If your diet is right, you'll have minimal plaque and tartar on your teeth. If it is largely fats, some proteins, and lots of vegetables, you will not accumulate tartar. If you do, and if you want to take it off, do the apple cider vinegar and baking soda bomb. You take a teaspoon of baking soda into your mouth, take a gulp of apple cider vinegar, it all explodes and the plaque falls off. That's a great way to do it, but avoid at all costs going to the dentist.
So if that doesn't work for me, can I still kind of just let it just be on my teeth and avoid the
Absolutely,
dentist? I mean,
absolutely.
is it going to hurt me if I just let it stay there?
Not at all. Between oil pulling and the apple cider vinegar, baking soda, you should have no troubles with tartar at all.
No, but I'm saying if I'm not able to get the dental plaque and tartar off with that balm, if it doesn't come off or I don't feel comfortable doing that, can I still avoid going to the dentist to get it removed?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
it can be on my teeth, and I can just ignore
So
it.
you can ignore it. It can be on your teeth. You can ignore it. I would say oil pulling is a wonderful thing to do. Always, always. It
So I bought some sesame oil and I will start doing that for a few minutes every night.
Oh yeah, you don't even have to do it every night, once a week, if you unless you have a lot of plaque and tartar and you feel that there's a period where you have withdrawal from not going to the dentist, and that's
Yes.
when I recommend oil pulling and the balm, and over time it'll disappear and you'll never know you miss it.
So just to clarify, because I feel like this is just I'm 65, so to not be going to the dentist is going to be very weird for me. But just to clarify, with all the tartar that's on my teeth, I don't have a ton, but I do have some. Whatever does not come off with the oil pulling, I don't have to worry about it.
Yes. Categorically, yes. Tartar is not the problem. Tartar is not the culprit. If you have cavities in your mouth, it's related to your diet, and there's nothing the dentist can do to fix that. Only
I
your,
have I haven't had a cavity since I was a kid, so I don't get cavities. But but here's the other thing, is plaque and tartar the same thing, and do I still not care about either one?
yes, if you had no cavities, you can have slime on your teeth. Weston A. Price went to the Loschenthal Swiss village where the children had green slime. They had not brushed their teeth in their entire lives. They lived on rye bread and cheese and went barefoot everywhere. Not a single, the least cavities of any tribe he saw in the modern world. And so tartar and plaque does not equal cavities. Cavities are what matter. And if you're on a good diet, you can ignore everything else, no matter what the dentists tell you.
Well, so the good news here is you don't have to get the x-rays because my dentist won't even let you go to her if you don't get the x-rays. So by not going to get a cleaning, I don't get x-rayed either. So it's twofold.
Yes, it's beautiful. Yes. You are assaulted in so many different ways at the dentist.
Yes.
You're,
Yes.
it's one of the biggest causes of death, in my opinion, in chronic disease. Between the mercury, the poking with that, what is that thing called? The cleaning tool,
Yeah.
the needless filling of cavities, the materials that are used, the mercury and so on, the implants, the rush to pull out teeth and replace them with titanium implants, which cause multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's and instant cancers. It is it is like being in the most dangerous place in the world because dentists treat your teeth like furniture, whereas they are an organ in your body.
Right. So you told me not to worry about the 8 cavity covers she put on my mouth. You said don't worry about those, right? I don't need to get those removed.
No, no. I mean, if you remove them, they're going to drill you and they're going to remove more of your enamel. If they're shallow enough, they'll fall off. Hopefully, you'll remineralize your teeth. You're drinking raw milk. Um,
Yeah.
but do swish around with some bentonite clay in your mouth. But milk
Se-
alone won't remineralize you.
And sesame oil. I'm using
And
sesame
and
oil.
do the oil pulling. Yes. And every time any of you get the urge to go to a dentist where you're terrified of what'll happen if you don't, give me a call. I'll talk you down.
I love it. I love it. That's so great. No, truly, you do need that. You need someone supporting you because you feel like somehow you're just going to explode or something, you know?
Yes. And I say the same thing to people who are dog owners who have a dog emergency and take their dog to a hospital. Call me, please. I tell all my clients, I'll talk you down. Your dog will survive much better without being injected with antibiotics, steroids, and painkillers, and being deprived of his master or owner and dying just from the trauma of it all. I've seen too many dogs die in intensive doggy care. Same thing with dental procedures.
Thank
Sushama,
you.
can you talk about people who already have what do they call them? Root canals. What should we be doing?
Um, I would not have a root canal in my mouth. A root canal is possibly one of the most infectious and deadly things you could have. Nevertheless, that being said, there are people that are alive and doing okay with root canals. But remember that if you have a condition suspect a root canal, suspect an infection, and those infections are chronic. You can't, every bite that you make, you're biting down all sorts of very pathogenic bacteria and other detritus into your bloodstream without the effect of the immune system acting on them at all. It's basically a hole into your circulatory system with infection at one end.
So I have a response to Claudia's from personal experience with the root canal. I've had my root canal removed and the socket and the pocket and all of that cleaned out. And this is with a dentist and a dental surgeon in my trust. I've spoken about this a few times before, and it was a very positive event for me, and I've never had any problems from it. And the healing with homeopathic support took place within a week. That's all I have to say for now on that.
And the tooth bottom was infected, right?
It was infected, and the dental surgeon showed me the infection.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, guys?
Is it okay to floss your teeth once in a while if you have food between your teeth?
Only if there's huge amounts of food stuck. Generally speaking, there's enough of tartar built between the teeth where it gets kind of filled. And the more you floss, the more room you're creating for stuff to stick. I have never flossed my teeth. I don't use toothpaste. I use a toothbrush and charcoal and coconut oil to clean my teeth from time to time. If a lot of plaque collects, if I eat like a pastry, I will get plaque on my teeth, the next day. But if your food is good, you don't need to do any of that. And I
Uh,
oil pull from time to time.
do you like turmeric on the teeth?
Yes, but it'll color it yellow.
Yeah,
You-
but yeah, it does, but then it rinses out and I believe it makes them whiter.
Yes, yes. Turmeric is wonderful on your teeth.
How often do you think you should use that on your teeth?
If you feel you have gingivitis, if you feel you have an infection in your teeth, it's an anti-inflammatory. If you have any kind of inflammation, use turmeric.
So it's not something you like, because I like to use it to make it white, but I'm always concerned that's taking enamel off. So
No,
that
no.
would,
If you want it to, if it's not yellowing your teeth, by all means use it. It's fantastic. You need turmeric in your body. It's one of the most potent anti-cancer herbs, and it's just wonderful.
so
Every
using it a couple times a week would be fine.
Absolutely. I mean, I eat turmeric. I eat a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons every day just in my food. So I get all sorts of turmeric.
A teaspoon or two a day you eat?
Yeah, yeah, in my food. I cook food with turmeric and the oil when I do a saute, and it's
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good for you.
so good.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll use turmeric then.
Okay.
Thank you. I
I do.
appreciate all your wisdom.
Oh, you're welcome. There was another question?
Well, I have 11 root canals and I'm still healthy. So I think there's other consciousness levels that can overcome any of that as well. But
Sure.
I'm kind of shocked to hear what you're saying. I'm trying not to let it get into my cellular
No,
memory
no,
here.
it's not. Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah.
Bless them, let them be. If they're not making trouble, and you're eating a lot, eating very well, you're detoxing very well, and you're well and good. Any other questions? All righty. If there's no other questions, we'll call it a day. And I am going to stop recording. Thank you so much. And I will post this on YouTube and Rumble.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.